Are you a real villain?
Well, technically, nah.
Have you ever caught a good guy, like a real superhero?
Nah.
Have you ever tried a disguise?
Nah.
All right. I can see that I will have to teach you how to be villains.
Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka Mono Blue Tron, with this garbage-ass subscriber special. What we're going to do here is roll through a whole shitload of Kaiju decks really fast. I'll give you an in-depth look at how I've built the deck, and then one replay before we send them to the Shadow Realm. The first one we're looking at is Kaiju Pure, so let's get in a deck edit, and I will show you what we're working with. So this is the first list. I understand Kaiju Pure is a bit of a misnomer since it's also playing other things, but you can't get away with playing just Kaiju, because then your opponent can just, you know, pass their turn every turn and deck you out. We're playing 3 copies of Gameciel, 2 copies of Jizukuru. This is so we always have access to what I believe to be the good Kaijus. Then we're playing one of every other Kaiju just because I wanted to play as many as possible. Also because having access to silver bullets is probably a good thing. Then we have 2 Thunder King, 2 Fire Hand, and 2 Ice Hand. Basically the bare minimum of 4-star monsters that sort of replenish themselves and stun your opponent a little bit. We got 2 Max C, 1 Raigeki, 2 Pot of Desires, 1 Upstart, 3 Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, 3 Kyoto Waterfront, 2 Twin Twister, 3 Quaking Mirror Force. God, I love this goddamn card. 1 Vanities, 1 Skill Drain, which I've made an effort to include in every Kaiju variant we're playing today, 3 Remove Brainwashing, and a Solemn Warning. So this is basically the bread and butter Kaiju list. Like everything else, it's not particularly good because it doesn't really do anything other than summon a bunch of big meaty dudes that you can only have one of on your side of the field at a time. In the extra, in case we draw into Skill Drain, we have Hope Harbinger, and then a bunch of rank 4s that I doubt we'll ever go into. So let's jump into the game and see what happens. So this is a game we have against Majespecter, Metaphos, playing Gofu and Adrian. You know, an actually good deck, so we're just going to have to roll with the punches here. We get to go first and Skill Drain this Gofu, which is great. I have to just keep this replay running because, Jesus Christ, this game. You'll understand what I mean in a second. But first off, we're going to make sure some Kaiju shit happens. We're going to go ahead and summon this Thunder King and this other Thunder King. This is like Tribal Thunder King board right here. Unfortunately, he does have the counter, so he is going to be able to blow up our little Thunder King as soon as he gets to attack. I'm going to max C pretty quickly, I believe, just because I want to constrain his plays. Ugh. Sorry, I had to watch the replay before this to make sure I knew what was going on in the game. I've done a lot of these today, as you can imagine, and that's why I'm yawning, as you'll find out in a sec. He's gonna suicide this Adrian in order to get a Solemn Strike. I'm like, fine. I mean, I can't really summon anything for the rest of the game anyway. This is why Kaiju Pure is so bad, is like, you just end up sitting on cards for a long time, a high percentage of your games. He's going to go ahead and make Break Sword. I'm like, well, dude, I mean, Skill Drain is still on my side of the field, so I don't really know what you want here. I'm going to warning these 2 bad boys, and then he's going to get a Solemn Strike and set it. I'm like, yeah, Solemn Strike is not going to matter because I'm not special summoning again for the rest of the game. We're going to start out by attacking in, and he's at 3,300. I'm like, okay, well, if I draw, like, a Raigeki or something, maybe I win, but that's basically the only scenario, and it requires him to not have a combination set, which thankfully he doesn't. So I figure I have a Vanity set, I have a Skill Drain on the field. I feel pretty good about just sitting on this board and killing the creature he plays every turn. He's going to play Kieran and then use its effect, not recognizing that Skill Drain is still on the field. I don't know how much more clear I can make this. He's going to Painful Decision, go for a Gofu, special summon a Gold Driver and a Kieran, and then Fusion, and I'm like, alright, sure, I'll Vanity's Emptiness now. And here comes the full Metaphos Fusion. And I'm like, okay, still, that's kind of like a 2-for-1 for me, right? Because, like, now he can't Pendulum Summon stuff back, and now he only has 1 blocker. I don't know, it's debatable. So, he's left with a bunch of useless cards and a Gold Driver in hand. I'm like, well, if I destroy this, and then the Gold Driver next turn, every single card he plays has to be a monster, because if I ever get an attack in, I just win. Unfortunately, I can't have 2 Kaijus on my side of the field, and I can't really tribute his stuff for Kaiju, because I have Vanities out, and, like, even with Skill Drain shenanigans, it seems unlikely that this is going to occur. I can destroy my Vanities at any time with this Upstart Goblin, but I don't really want to do that unless I can instantly win the game, and, like, attacking over a Gameciel isn't going to win me the game. It's close, but it's not enough. So we're going to just go ahead and do this play. He sets Gold Driver. Finally, I get him to draw a spell or trap. So I'm going to need to get him to do another one of those in order to win this game. I'm also going to need to not lose my vanities. He draws a Maxi and sets it. God, this is so frustrating. And here I got greedy. I should have just Rageki'd, but I figured, you know, maybe he's got like counters set or something that he can't use, or some kind of bullshit garbage. He's going to Archfiend, and there goes the emptiness. And I mean, here goes the fucking game. Now the floodgates are open. Let's go. He's going to make Ignister. He's going to make a whole bunch of creatures, and that's it. So we're back with the deck. As you can probably imagine, this is not a very good deck. Kaiju Pure isn't good for a reason, and that reason is having one effectively vanilla 3300 monster on your side of the field usually isn't enough to win the game. Even in that game, I had such a problem closing it out. I definitely got a little greedy and maybe could have walked away with it, but still, I mean, any time if he'd drawn any card to beat either of my two one-ofs, he would have just won the entire match. So I wouldn't recommend this one. Doesn't look good. We'll check in on some other archetypes in a second, but for now, enjoy the video. So here we are again. Second deck is Kaiju Artifact. Tries to make use of the fact that Jizikuru has that effect that can destroy a card anywhere to kind of get the artifact engine going. So let's jump into deck edit and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Yeah, so this is Kaiju Artifact. It's about as bad as it sounds. We're playing 3 copies of Jizikuru. This is the card you basically always want to be going into. If you negate one of your opponent's cards, you can pop one of your artifacts, which lets you get it back. It's pretty good. Also helps that, like, Artifact Ignition is another Mystical Space Typhoon, which is a card that's, you know, already really good with Kyoto Waterfront, and including it is pretty great to be able to do. We're also playing 3 Gameciel, just because Gameciel is the other good kaiju, and 1 copy of Super Anti-Kaiju War, Mechanism Machine Man for our slumbers. We got 3 copies of Scythe, the only good artifact remaining, 1 copy of Morale Tech. Please, Konami, let us play! 2 copies of Artifact Begal Tech, just because I guess we need a 3rd artifact. 2 copies of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, just because, I mean, we probably have to be disrupting our opponent's play in some way, since we're not summoning monsters ever, and 2 Maxis. Then we've got 1 Upstart, 3 Terraforming, 2 Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, 3 Ignition, 2 Twin Twister, 3 Kyoto Waterfront, 3 Sanctum, 3 Remove Brainwashing, 2 Solemn Notices, and a Warning. In the extra, we have a bunch of rank 5s, because we can't make anything else. So let's jump into the game and see what happens. So, because we're on Yu-Gi-Oh Pro and the Checkmate ladder system, we are playing against the best deck in the format. I am, of course, talking about Ancient Gears. We don't have a whole lot of stuff going on. This is about the worst hand the deck can produce, but thankfully, this is about the worst deck that the meta can produce, so, you know, there's that. He summoned an Ancient Gear Soldier, which does hot nothing. We have a Sanctum. I'm like, ooh, I will Sanctum the shit out of your Gear Gigant X. I hope you weren't expecting to do fun things today. So we're just going to sit on this Morale Tech. Unfortunately, because he doesn't have a monster on his side of the field, we can't really, you know, do anything else. And this Begal Tech is just rotting here. He's going to go ahead and add a whole shitload of counters here, and I'm like, well, I can tribute stuff, which is good, but I also need a way to win the game. I mean, this Ignition isn't great. I'm going to set it anyway, because I figure I probably need to destroy this Ancient Gear Castle before he can get, like, a 7 sacrifice monster off. I know so little about this deck, it hurts. He's going to go ahead and summon Knight, and then Overload Fusion. I'm like, well, I can draw a card, that's fine. And here he comes, the Ancient Gear Chaos Giant. Now, this card is fucking nuts, and really screws up our board. Thankfully, it doesn't kill us, and we are playing a deck called Kaiju, so we do have an out to this card. Let's go ahead and add a Jizikuru to our hand, give him a turtle, and then get attacking. This is going pretty well, to be honest, with the exception of the fact that anything he does probably screws us up, and he realizes how to play against Artifact all of a sudden. That would be set a card every turn, and we can't win. So we're going to go ahead and remove Brainwashing so that my Kaiju become removal spells instead of just, like, trade opportunities, and we win the game. So we're back with this deck. It was better than the last one. I played this deck in paper for a little while, and the most I can tell you is that when it bricks, it bricks. It bricks like no other deck. Playing a minimum amount of Kaijus is great, but even so, they tend to clog your hand a lot of the time. The fact that you have no proactive plays, just really reactive ones, really hurts. And at the end of the day, a deck where you rely on your opponent to do stuff before you can do anything probably has close to 0% chance of making anything happen. So I'd probably avoid this one too. Now enjoy the video.
Now listen closely. Here's a little lesson in trickery. This is going down in history. If you want to be a villain member.
Nice to see you back. Here we are talking about Kaiju Graydle. This is the deck that everyone thinks is good for some reason. Let's jump into deck edit and I will show you an example of it. So here it is, the one, the only Kaiju Graydle. For some reason, people think this deck is incredible, and if I ever figure out why, I'll let you know. I thought about doing a normal video on this archetype, but really the deck is, boy, it's something else. We're playing 2 copies of Jizukuru, 2 copies of Thunder King, 2 copies of Dagoran, 3 copies of Gameciel, 1 copy of Super Anti-Kaiju War Machine, 1 copy of Kamungus. That's all our Kaijus. 2 Graydle Slime, 3 Graydle Eagle, 2 Graydle Cobra, and 3 Graydle Alligator. That's all the Graydles. Then we have 1 copy of Foolish, 3 copies of Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, 3 Graydle Impact. God, this card is good. 2 Kaiju Files. God, this card is bad. 3 Kyoto Waterfront, 3 Graydle Split, 1 Skill Drain, and 3 copies of Great Horn of Heaven. This is a weird include, but I haven't hated it so far. Giving your opponent more cards isn't actually that big of a deal if you intend to steal them. So, like, I get the idea behind this deck, right? You want to give your opponent a really big guy and then take that big guy with your Graydles. It, like, sets up cute OTKs and shit. But, like, at the end of the day, it doesn't solve any of the problems that Kaiju has, which is it's a reactive deck. It requires your opponent to do things before you can summon a Kaiju. You can still only really have 1 Kaiju on your side of the field. The inclusion of the Graydle engine allows you to steal some of your opponent's big boss monsters, but a lot of them resist them since they're monster effects, and even more of them just don't care. Like, if you steal a big guy and then summon a Kaiju and then beat over a Kaiju you've summoned, you're still only doing like 5,000 points of damage, and then they can probably engineer a way to kill you on the crackback. In the extra, we have a bunch of rank 8s, including 3 Graydle Dragon, which is basically the only one that matters. Let's go into the game and I'll show you how it worked. So, you remember when I was talking about decks that resist the Graydle effects? Yeah, well, here's one of them, Dark Magician. You know, we're going first, and all we can do is set Graydle Alligator and hope they don't just kill us into the sun. Unfortunately, it looks like they are going to attempt to kill us into the sun. This guy's even playing a Dedication through Light and Darkness. So he's going to Magician's Navigation, which gets a banish trigger. He's going to banish the Alligator. I'm like, oh, shit, garbage. What do we do here? He's going to go ahead and use Eagle's effect, and I'm like, okay, I'll take the one that hasn't attacked, but that's really all I can do. He gets to add another Nav to his hand, and I think, okay, I'm basically dead at this point. There's not really much I can do. I guess I can make some Kaiju, but here comes the Nav, and he's gonna banish my Kaiju. I'm like, okay, well, I could still at least attack, like, the Rod or something. Let's Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, and here comes the Starlight Road. Oh, God. So at this point, I'm staring down a field that definitely is lethal, alongside some absolutely bonkers spells and traps, including a Dedication through Light and Darkness. You know, that's the end of the game. I mean, I'm just giga dead. I didn't do enough quickly enough, and he kills me for it. So we're back with the deck. I mean, I guess I'm just Nostradamus or something, because exactly what I expected to happen happened, you know? The guy was playing a deck that punished decks for being reactive and not proactive. We set a guy, it got banished, he summoned 15 guys, we're threat light, and it requires 2 Kaijus for us to really make anything. He gets to 2-for-1 us all day with Magician's Navigation, which means he is infinitely up on cards. I mean, listen, as much as the Graydle Kaiju hype is, like, cute and funny, I would really avoid this archetype. It's not good. I can't imagine a deck in the meta that can't deal with it or doesn't punish it for going first. And, you know, that's that. Let's get back to the really important part of this video.
You have to chase a superhero on the run. Just follow my moves and sneak around. Be careful not to make a sound. Touch that!
Alright, so if you like those first 3 Kaiju decks, you're going to really hate the remaining ones. We start scraping the bottom of the barrel about now, and this deck, half-shut combo, is inconsistent, not good, and doesn't even kill them when it draws its combo. Let's jump into deck edit, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So, this is a deck that people have tried to make work ever since they released Thunder King, the Lightning Strike Kaiju. I think it's hilarious. Obviously, it's not good, but I'm willing to try it out just the same. The idea is Thunder King's effect allows you to remove 3 Kaiju counters from anywhere on the board and then make 3 attacks on monsters in one turn. The idea is you'll have like a Kyoto Waterfront out, remove a bunch of counters for Lightning Strike's effect, and then activate Half Shut. Now, what this quick play spell does is it halves the attack of an opponent's monster, or any monster really, but until the end phase it can't be destroyed by battle. So if you pick something of theirs and then attack it 3 times with Lightning Strike, you get to do like 10 billion damage. You can even attack something like, I don't know, a Dagoran is usually the other target. So it's a cute deck, but not consistent. Combo doesn't kill them. You gotta play a bunch of bad cards to enable it, but still a lot of fun. We're playing 3 copies of Jizukuru, 3 copies of Thunder King, 2 copies of Dagoran, 3 copies of Gameciel, 1 super anti-ancient monk, I don't know what this card is called, 2 copies of Maxi, 1 Regeki, 3 Pot of Desires, it is a combo deck, we need to draw our combo, 1 copy of Upstart, 3 Terraforming, 3 Left Arm Offering, this card's not bad here, lets us get half shut, and nothing else in our deck does, 3 copies of Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, 3 copies of Twin Twister, so that we can add as many counters to Waterfront as possible and get rid of our multiples of combo pieces, 3 half shuts, 3 waterfronts, 1 emptiness, 1 skill drain, 1 solemn, and then in the extra we have a bunch of 10s, 9s, and 8s that I don't think we'll ever go into because I want to kill them with half shut. So let's jump into the games and I'll show you how it goes. So here you're going to see the most painful thing in history, a Kaiju mirror. Now I believe he is playing Pure. No, he's got like a Jet Synchron, but aside from that, it is Pure. He's got like Sacred Sword of the 7 stars to draw him stuff, and unfortunately this means we are just going to have to sit for a very long time because he's not going to normal summon a card. You know, I'm not intending to normal summon a card. We're both sitting on waterfronts. I mean, what more do you want? Thankfully, I've got him playing some bad cards like Kaiju Files, which means I'm not really under any pressure. Nothing really painful is ever going to happen, probably. I got a lot of left arm offerings in my hand, but that doesn't really do anything. He's going to Sacred Sword, which starts the fun, and then ends his turn. I have 2 counters on Kyoto. This Pot of Desires is going to give me the 3rd one, and look at that! Desires into double desire. Thank you so much, Yu-Gi-Oh! Oh my goodness. So we're going to thin our deck as much as possible. I don't know why. Like, he could probably just deck us, I'm thinking, at this point. But he calls a Kaiju back, and I'm like, oh, good. The first person to play a Kaiju in this mirror probably loses. He says GG at this point in chat. I don't think he knows that Lightning Strike doesn't do what he wants. So, you know, there's that. Thankfully, I have a whole bunch of shenanigans I can pull. We're going to start with this Twin Twister, then we're going to summon our own Lightning Strike, half shut his, and get going. We can actually use the Kaiju counters from his waterfront to beat him in. So we don't beat him, obviously. You know, we still have a little bit of ways to go, but we have a left arm offering, so we could always get another half shut. He's going to Terraforming, add some more counters, tuning, get a Jet Synchron, and I'm like, oh shit, wait a minute. I might be dead here. He's going to go into Leo and then make a Radiant, and then I'm like, oh my god, I'm dead. And then he goes into not Scrap Dragon. I'm like, wait, I'm not dead at all. He forgot. He had a way to beat me and he didn't do it. So I get to summon a Lightning Strike, get this half shut, beat up his Dagoran 3 times, and kill him. Oh god. So we're back with the deck. You have no idea how many times I had to play in order to get that to occur. It's radically inconsistent. And even that game I shouldn't have won. My opponent was just a doofus. This was fun. I know a lot of people are teching 1 half shut into existing like pure Kaiju builds. I wouldn't bother. It's just so bad. And the combo happens so infrequently that it seems unlikely you're ever going to get anything to happen. So, I don't know. Probably stay away from this one too. All right, back to Robbie. All right, so we're not even halfway yet. This one is going to be rank 8 spam, a deck that many people believe to be the optimal build of Kaiju just because it actually does something, and Hope Harbinger Titanic Galaxy is actually a card that's good enough to win the game on its own. Let me jump into deck edit and I'll show you what cards we're playing. So the idea here is that we can get one of our 8-star Kaiju, that's the Gameciel or the Dagoran or the Godarla out, and then special summon one of these other cards like the Schwarzschild, the Beast King Barbados, the Parsec, or the Malefic Stardust Dragon. Any of these options allow us to go into rank 8s, which is great because afterwards we can just kind of blow them up. We're playing one copy of Jizukuru and one copy of Thunder King just because they're all right. All of these rank 8s, that's 7 copies and one of Super Anti-Kaiju War Machine, which hilariously is also an 8-star, but we'll probably never summon it. Then we got 3 copies of Schwarzschild, 3 copies of Barbados, 1 Parsec, 1 Malefic, 3 trade-in for these million 8-star monsters we have, 1 Raigeki, 2 Desires, 1 Upstart, 3 Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, 3 Twin Twister, 3 Kyoto, Vanities, Skill Drain, Solemn, and Calls. In the extra, we have some rank 9s, some rank 10s, but mostly a bunch of rank 8s and a Stardust. So let's jump into the games, and we'll see how many Hope Harbingers we can make. Alright, for the game we're playing against Destiny Heroes, a spooky archetype that I really hope doesn't get good. He's going to go ahead and make Dystopia Guy turn 1, which is okay, but not great. He doesn't have really any protection for him. I'm going to go ahead and make this Waterfront happen. If I destroy all of these cards, I figure I can like add one to my hand, make a rank 8, but he has a Twin Twister for my Twin Twister, kills the Kyoto Waterfront. So this isn't good. I don't want to like summon Schwarzschild for no reason, but we do have a Call of the Haunted, so I'm trying to engineer a way we can make that happen. We draw Desires, which is great, and oh look, another Schwarzschild. So we're just going to go ahead and special summon 2 Schwarzschilds in a row and make Hope Harbinger. That seems pretty good. We're going to beat up this young man and go to end step. I'm feeling pretty good right now. He's going to go ahead and end his turn, which means we get to go in for like 1 billion damage. We're going to Desires first because I can't imagine decking out at this point. He's going to Dynamite Guy. Yeah, sure, whatever. That doesn't kill me. So he draws Twin Twister. He has Poly. He Twin Twisters. I'm like, well, I know this card isn't important, so I'll go ahead and add that to Titanic Galaxy. Then I Twin Twister this at end step, so I have fodder for this Call of the Haunted, and then we're going to go ahead and normal summon this Barbados and get in for a lethal amount of damage. Whew, finally one that felt good. This list was actually performed really well. I played a bunch of games with it. It turns out it's really easy to make a Kaiju on your side of the field and then get one of these options out. Hope Harbinger is a fucking incredible card. The rank 8 suite is also really good. There's like a lot of cool options you can go into. I don't even have 7 Sins in here, and 7 Sins is like one of the best ones you can go into. I really, really like this one. So far, this is the contender for the best Kaiju list we've played today, but we still have a lot more of We Are Number 1 to sit through. Alright, we're halfway there. This is Kaiju Heroes, a deck that can't possibly be good. There's no way. Let me jump into deck edit and you'll see why. So the idea here is that Kaiju is actually really good for adding a whole shitload of cards to your hand because Kyoto Waterfront is actually a pretty sweet draw engine. It just really sucks that, unfortunately, it can only add Kaijus to your hand. So I tried to figure out what I could do with all of that useless card advantage, and I came up with Mass Change 2, and I'm like, cool, we can summon one of the bad Kaijus and then Mass Change into, like, a good masked hero. And then I read Mass Change 2, and it has this clause where the guy you summon has to be a higher level than the guy who gets destroyed. So, really limits our options there. This means we can really only go into Anarchy off of Radiant and what is this? Diane off of Kumongus. Everything else is like just not a good enough star line. So that's what we're playing. 3 Radians and 3 Kumonguses. Then we got our Super Anti-Kaiju War Machine for shenanigans. We're playing 3 Shadow Mist, 3 Bubbleman. Bubbleman especially bad in this deck because you always have Kaiju in your hand. 2 Smunks, 2 Tin Goldfishes, and a Goblinberg. Then we got a Raigeki, 3 Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, 2 Mass Change 2, 3 Mass Change 1, 1 Reinforcement of the Army, 3 Emergency Call, 3 Hero Lives, 3 Kyoto, 2 Twin Twister, and a Vanities. So, let's see how this one works, but I have a sneaking suspicion I already know. So wait, which one of these are we? Oh, shit. We're up against Heroes. Can we ever not get a mirror match, even when we're playing the worst deck in history? We're going to go ahead and Hero Lives our way to a Mass Change. We also have the impeccable Vanity's emptiness in her hand. He's gonna go ahead and Pot of Desires. I'm like, you know that I can make Darklaw here. Like, I'm gonna do it. I get this Goblinberg out of his hand, I believe, which is pretty sweet. Still allows him to use his Tin Goldfish, though. He's gonna do that, and I'm like, that's a perfect time to Vanities. Let's do it. And suddenly he's stranded. We're actually just gonna win this game if he can't do anything here. Unfortunately, he has a Compulse, so he can do something. We're going to go ahead and set our Bubble Man. Now, the idea is nothing in his deck can actually get over a Bubble Man in defense mode. And, you know, absent a Goblinberg, I think we can pretty much sit on this forever. We draw a Reinforcement of the Army, and I'm like, okay, now I can go ahead and go into some shenanigan stuff. He gets the Darklaw, and I'm like, anything but Tin Goldfish, and we're fine. And wouldn't you know it, there's Tin Goldfish. Still, we're probably okay. We haven't normal summoned, so we can still make a Tree Toad and wipe his board, which we're going to do now. This is really good for us because now Kyoto is, like, all the way on. We have the ability to, like, make a Radiant every turn. We have the ability to add a Kaiju every turn. I'm feeling pretty fine. He's going to go into Utopia the Lightning. I'm like, okay, Utopia the Lightning is actually not particularly scary. It gets rid of the Tree Toad, but we are a Kaiju deck. We can just tribute it. So this is lethal on board, assuming that none of his traps are any good, which they aren't. I'm going to make Darklaw, add a Bubble Man. I'm going to use Radiant's effect to make a Radiant. I'm going to tribute this guy for a Sticky String Kaiju, and then he's going to concede. So we're back with the deck. This was actually pretty good. I didn't hate it. We won a game against a good deck because we were actually playing Kaiju. It was impressive. Certainly it's not better than actual Heroes. I think I just sort of sacked out against that guy. Vanity's Emptiness, still a good card. But, you know, it was fun to play around with. I would try it again, probably with less Bubble Men. If nothing else, I think what we can glean from this deck is that Masked Hero Darklaw is a real superhero.
Now look at this net that I just found. When I say go, be ready to throw. Go! Throw it at him, not me! Oh, let's try something else. Now watch and learn. Here's the deal. You slip and slide on this banana peel. Ha ha! What are you doing?
And we're back, so now we're looking at Turbo Gameciel, a deck that I think aims to play Gameciel the way it was meant to be played. Just power it out in defense mode and then negate everything your opponent does for the rest of the game. So let's see if we can fulfill Konami's deep, dark fantasies. So here we're playing basically a small trade-in suite, and then basically no other Kaiju. We got 3 Gameciel, 3 Dagoran, 3 Godarlo. Those are all the important 8s, and 1 Super Anti-Kaiju War Machine, 2 Max C, 1 Regeki, 2 Trade-in, 2 Pot of Desires, 3 Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, 3 Kyoto Waterfront, 2 Twin Twister, 3 Terraforming, 3 Kaiju Files. This card is actually really good in this deck because it's what allows us to get out a Gameciel so quickly. 3 Quaking, 1 Emptiness, 1 Skill Drain, 3 Remove Brainwashing, and a Solemn Warning. In the extra, we have a bunch of cards that I don't even think we have the capability of going into. So let's jump into the games and see what happens. So, we're playing against a guy I actually ran into a lot on ladder today. He's playing like a Majespecter build that has Ties of the Brethren and Mystical Fairy Alfernia in it. I think this card is hilarious, and I hope it gets better. So he's going to Ties, get a bunch of Majespecters, which get him a bunch of effects. I mean, that seems pretty good if you ask me. We, you know, have a whole lot of nothing, to be honest. Hopefully this trade-in is going to make things happen. We're going to go ahead and Waterfront, trade in this awful Kaiju for better ones, and really that's the end of the turn. So we're going to set some multiples and then end our turn. Hope that he doesn't kill us. Thankfully we have a skill drain, so now that these guys are vulnerable to destruction, I'm like, okay, well, I actually probably could make some things occur here. You know, no promises, but we'll see. This Kaiju Slumber I've set is going to come in especially handy. Unfortunately, because Skill Drain is out, we don't, you know, really want to be going into Gameciel all that much. We're going to Regeki away this Kaiju just as a joke, just as, I don't know, just because I was feeling it, and then the replay ends. So we're back with a deck. As any true connoisseur of Lazy Town will tell you, the middle episodes really suffered in quality due to a lack of imagination from the producers, as well as just a general disinterest by the cast themselves. Similarly, I'm starting to lose interest. This Gameciel deck sucked ass. Jesus, that one game I showed you, if you thought that was boring, imagine doing this for an hour. Getting out Gameciel is never going to happen. It's terrible. It happened maybe once in the like 9 games I played with this deck. Kaiju Files is just a slow-ass, boring-ass, bad card that deserves no spot in any deck ever. Gameciel is not enough to win the game on his own, and that's really all I have to say. So in order to get the taste of Gameciel out of our mouth, we're going to play an actually fun deck, Kaiju Raccoons. This is a deck that I made a full 10-minute testing of and still enjoy to this very day. Let's jump into deck edit and I'll show you how it's played. So here's a deck list we've settled on. Now, this deck would basically be called Sondayu Shenanigans. Ronin Raccoon Sondayu is a rank 2 beast-type Xyz monster who can only be made with beasts, who detaches to create a creature token with the highest attack on the field, or tied for the highest attack. So if you already have like a Kaiju out, for example, it'll be like a 3300 attack token, which can OTK super easily. The deck basically aims to have really sweet turn 1 setups, take advantage of the fact that Kaiju is a reactive deck by giving it a whole bunch of proactive plays like Obedience Schooled, and take advantage of the fact that baby raccoons have an inability to deal with big dumb creatures by tributing those creatures for bad kaijus. Your turn 1 setups can like include big ass boards with big ass kaijus, or like Naturia Beast plus Sondayu or double Sondayu. There's just so many awesome options. We're playing 3 copies of Jizukuru, 2 copies of Thunder King, 1 copy of Radiant, and 2 copies of Gameciel, basically the absolute minimum amount of kaijus we can be playing. 2 copies of Tree Otter, 2 copies of Favored Cerberel, 3 copies of Ponpoko, 2 copies of Valeraphon, 2 copies of Kalimtosa, 2 copies of Tauntaun, which is usually the Ponpoko target, 1 copy of Regeki, 2 Potted Desires, 1 Upstart, 3 Obedient School. This card is nuts! 3 copies of Terraforming, 2 copies of Twin Twister, 3 Waterfronts, 3 Quakings, and a Solemn. So let's jump into the games, and I'll show you how they work. So our match is against OEM, I believe. We haven't opened any of our good opens. We don't have Obedience Schooled, Kyoto, anything like that. We do have Ponpoko, which is all right as a turn 1 play. It could be worse, I guess. We're going to go ahead and do it. Remember, Tauntaun always represents a removal spell because he can get Kalimtosa, which is, you know, okay. It could be much worse. Our opponent is playing a whole bunch of cards. We're going to Quaking this guy as soon as possible. Really don't want him to be able to do anything. He's going to Sky Iris, which is going to get him a Odd Eyes, and then he's going to play that and destroy it for a Pendulum guy. I figure I got to kill him right about now. So flipping up Tauntaun means I can make Sondayu. I'll go ahead and do that. He's going to Solemn Notice, and I'm like, that's 1,500 life points I don't have to deal with. We're going to use Valeraphon to get back Ponpoko, make Kaiju, make a Sondayu, make a big-ass token, Regeki, and get in for 100 points over lethal. Oh, this deck still feels so good. I love this deck. The ratios are probably a little bit off. We probably could cut a Fabled Cerberel, and I really want to cut a Kalimtosa, but I always draw into it. And there's probably more shenanigans we could be playing, but at the very least, this has felt like the most powerful of any of the Kaiju strategies we've played today. I'm excited to see if this deck ever makes it. I've always had high hopes, and maybe in some hypothetical future where a bunch of the top decks get banned out in the next ban list, I'll be trying this out. This one's really bad. No idea how to defend this one. It's just gotta be bad. I think the idea is that, like, maybe there's not enough Majespecter playables, so you gotta put something in with it. We got 1 Kirin, 3 Fox, 3 Toad, 3 Bunbuku, 1 Ignister, Mister, Blaster, Buster, Luster, 2 Jizukuru, 2 Gameciel, 2 Dagoran, 2 Radiant, 1 Super Anti-Dagoran, 1 Regeki, 3 Interrupted Slumber, 3 Waterfront, 2 Files, Cyclone, Sonic, 2 Twin Twister, 3 Brainwashing, 1 Tornado, 3 Tempest. In the extra, we got a bunch of rank 4s, some rank 8 that I don't think we can ever go into because we're not playing Skill Drain, and Ignister Prominence. So, geez, I don't know. Let's jump into the game and see if we can figure out something. So we're playing this garbage, he's playing that garbage. I draw into a Toad, which is almost a playable card. We're going to set a whole bunch of Majespecter spells and traps and end our turn. Our opponent does not really have anything going. He's got a Dark Bribe and a Starlight Road set. I'm like, ugh, I mean, I guess I'll attack. I figure if I attack every turn, this guy can't be destroyed by spell or trap effects, so, you know, maybe it's possible that I just chip in for 1,300 6 turns in a row and win the game. Right now it's looking like that's going to happen, and I draw a Majespecter Bunbuku, and I'm like, okay, well, actually, this is looking a little more likely. This is a 2-turn clock, because I get the Fox in my hand. We're going to just beat up for a lot and end my turn. He draws into a Magician's Navigation, which is okay, but not great. We're going to lead off with a Kyoto Waterfront, which gets Dark Bribed, allowing him to special summon his Magician of Black Illusion. That's not great. I'm going to Tempest it, which gets Dark Bribed as well. So I get to draw a couple of cards, which is nice, including another copy of Kyoto Waterfront. I immediately tribute this guy for a Jizukuru, then flip remove Brainwashing, and attack in for lethal. This deck's bad. It's not good. I don't know who came up with it, but they were not a smart person. It doesn't do anything. I don't know. It's really good against Dark Magician builds that are super suboptimal and brick all the time, though. Let's go back to Lazy Town. So let's get a little bit of a palate cleanser here and play a deck that might actually be fun. Kaiju Trains! I can't imagine this being good. I'll jump in a deck edit, and instantly you're going to figure out why I'm thinking this. So the idea is Jizukuru is a level 10 machine-type monster. So, you know, do with that what you will. It doesn't really help us with anything because it's light. But regardless, I think it's funny. So we're going to play 3 copies of Jizukuru, 3 Night Express Knight, 3 Heavy Freight Train Derricane, 1 Exodius, 3 Gameciel, and 3 Ruffian Railcar. For our spells and traps, we have a Regeki, a Soul Charge, an Upstart, 3 Terraforming, 3 Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, 3 Twin Twister, 3 Revolving Switchyard. First deck we're playing that does not have Kyoto in it. 3 Quakings, a Vanities, a Skill Drain, Calls, and Solemns. The idea is just to power out a bunch of rank 10s. I mean, I'm not thinking too critically anymore here. We're just going to play trains, make trains, and pray that trains will get us home. So we're up against Kaiju Heroes. You can see that he's got Goblinberg and a bunch of cards that aren't Tree Toad. We've opened absolutely nothing. We do have a Derricane in case we ever get lucky enough to draw a Night Express Knight or something. We get to go first, so let's go ahead and set a Quaking, set a Solemn, and set a Twin Twister. That's basically the best sets we could have. He's going to go ahead and Goblinberg out this Shadow Mist, which gets him Dark Law. He's going to make Dark Law. I mean, you know, this is just par for the course at this point. Going to get in for 2,400. I'm really not feeling this one anymore. We're going to go ahead and fire off this Disrupted. He's going to Maxi, which actually draws him a card because they both come in at the same time, and then we'll attack. He's going to flip Tretch, and he has to target both, so they both get destroyed. I mean, still better than just, you know, letting it happen. He's going to Twin Twist and hit every good spell and trap that I've set, you know, casual Twin Twister. We're going to go ahead and get another Kaiju, tribute the Summoner Monk, and summon a Jizukuru. We'll give him 1 off of this Maxi. I'm feeling all right. You know, he doesn't have a lot of tools in his hand, nothing that really rebuilds. He's going to set 1 card and pass. I don't even really want to set this Twin Twister, to be honest, just because, like, I like Derricane so much. He's going to go ahead and draw a Mass Change. I mean, he's just drawing dead at this point. I feel pretty good about him drawing dead. I'm going to get in for 3,300. He's at 300. I'm going to Twin Twist away these cards, and here's why. I figure I can Soul Charge this Derricane back at any time in order to make a Super Heavy Dreadnought Cannon Man. We need to have at least 1 train in this entire game. He's going to make Utopia the Lightning, which blows up my Jizukuru. That sucks, but is not actually that bad. I'm going to Twin Twister this at end step, just in case it's any kind of disruption. Fire off this Soul Charge, get me the Jizukuru, get me the Derricane, attach them both, and here we go! He concedes. That was fun. I had fun, you know. It wasn't good, but it was fun. Jizukuru not being Earth really, really hurts the deck, and playing Kaijus is fine, but Trains is already a deck that kind of gets dumpstered on card advantage. And, you know, while Kaiju has the ability to accrue a lot of card advantage, they do it by playing Kyoto Waterfront, which unfortunately is the one card of Kaiju we are not playing in this build. So this wasn't great, but I certainly found it enjoyable. Home stretch, fuckers. So I bet you're thinking, Kaiju BA, that's a tier 1 deck. Well, worry not. We're not playing the small engine of Kaiju. We're playing the large engine. Let's go into deck edit and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So here... Oh, sorry, reflex. Here's what we ended up playing. One of the good things about BA is there's not like a field spell you want to be playing, so plenty of room for Waterfront. We have 3 Gameciel and 3 Radiant, basically all I want to be playing. Gameciel because it's terrible, and we contribute over our opponent's monsters, which BA sucks at doing. And Radiant because you can pitch him to Allure of Darkness, and also you can summon him to your side of the field, so he's like a pretty good one to get, sets up OTKs. I like it. Then we're playing 3 copies of Terror Top, 1 Takaton Borg, a whole bunch of BA dudes. We got 1 Barbar, 1 Seer, 1 Libic, 1 Calcab, 1 Graph, 1 Rubik, 2 Alec, 3 Farfa, 3 Skarm, and a Tour Guide, 3 Kyoto Waterfront, 3 Allure of Darkness, just trying to make as much use out of this card as possible, 1 Raigeki, 1 Foolish, 3 Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, 1 Upstart, 2 Twin Twister, and a Solemn. In the extra, we have just basic BA shenanigans going on, along with a Coral Dragon that I included just because we had 1 extra slot that I thought it would be funny to include a Coral Dragon for. So let's jump into the games, and I will show you just how burning our Abyss can become. So the one game we're playing as BA, we hit this deck. Some sort of bullshit stun deck playing Banisher of the Light, Banisher of the Radiance, and what the hell is this? The Gift of Greed? What the... Are they trying to mill us out? Oh, disgusting. Absolutely not. Well, you know, we'll just do our standard BA shenanigan all over them. We're going to start off with an Allure and then make a Dante. Then we're going to use Skarm to make a Beatrice, use Skarm to add a Graph, and we're off to the races. Our opponent is going to start out by playing Banisher and then equipping it with Moonmirror Shield. Well, this sucks for me because now I'm not going to get any of my Beatrice effects. I'm not feeling super good. If only I had some way to get over that problem card, and I do. It's a Kaiju. We're going to attack over this Kaiju. I mean, this is our life now. We're just playing Kaiju. We're way off playing BA. We're just playing Kaiju. There goes Dark World Dealings. I'll discard this Graph, get a Skarm, which immediately dies. He's going to play Banisher with Moonmirror Shield. Jesus Christ. Can we have 1 non-Moonmirror Shield today? I'm going to go ahead and get this Barbar. Thankfully, I have, like, Raigeki and, like, a Foolish Burial. I have a lot of outs. So we're going to go ahead and send that sucker to the graveyard, and he concedes. Well, it feels good that we built a deck that was, like, basically designed to beat us, but at the same time, I can't imagine that this slamming Kaiju engine is any better than the 4-card one that BA was already playing. I mean, all we've really done is take a BA list from like a year ago, thrown in 3 Kyoto Waterfront and 2 additional copies of Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. I don't know if it's really doing anything extra for the deck. In a world where we're just on the portion of the game where we have a bunch of Kaiju on our side of the field, we can't really do anything with our BA monsters in our hand, and more importantly, it's not like we're winning games where we're just all in on Kaiju, as the previous matches have probably taught you. So, you know, try this out if you want, but don't get your hopes up. Back to the video. We made it, you and I. We've been on this journey together. It's been fun. And finally, we've reached the end. The final Kaiju list is Kaiju Barrier Statue. I know what you're thinking. Joseph, Kaiju Barrier Statue. They all need to be special summoned. Well, don't worry. I've got a list for you. Well, here it is. The last list. Kaiju Barrier Statue. I bet you didn't know there was a Barrier Statue of the Heavens. Who would ever play a Barrier Statue that allows you to special summon light monsters? If only there were decks that special summoned light monsters in the format. The only reason we're playing this one is because there's 3 lights in the Kaiju archetype. No other attribute has that kind of representation. Unfortunately, they're terrible. Mecha Dagoran is awful. These 2 have the same amount of attack, which sucks. Regardless, hopefully we can ride this train all the way to the bank. We get to play some Thunder Kings, you know. We got 3 copies of Anti-Mecha Blaster, 3 Jizukuru, 3 Thunder King, 3 Barrier Statue, 2 other Thunder King, 1 Raigeki, 1 Upstart Goblin, 2 Desires, 3 Waterfront, 3 Slumber, 2 Twin Twister, and then a bunch of, like, sort of stun traps. We got, like, Quakings, Vanities, Calls are pretty good. Wabaku makes sure our Barrier Statue doesn't get eaten alive, Solemn Notices, and Strikes. In the extra, we have a bunch of 4s. How are we getting into 4s, anyway? 2 Thunder Kings? That's it? I guess we can go into some light ones with, like, Barrier Statues? Disgusting. It'll never happen. Let's jump into the game. Not only was this the most fitting game for my last list, it's also the most boring. Our opponent is playing some kind of Resonator Synchron deck, and he's drawn all the Resonators, but none of the non-tuners, so, you know, he doesn't get to do anything. We don't get to do anything because he's not doing anything, and we only have, like, 4 cards we can normal summon in our deck. He's just going to set cards and pass. I mean, I don't really know what to tell you at this point. We're going to do all we can to not go out of our mind. I'm, like, doing extra work at this point. I'm, like, applying to jobs, you know. I'm, reading about particle physics. I mean, just anything that fills up time. Our opponent has drawn just tuner after tuner after tuner after tuner. We're going to go ahead and set and set and set and set. He draws an MST, which I guess he's just going to blind MST. Who cares? Doesn't matter at this point. None of this matters. He's going to go ahead and pass it back. I'll pass it back. And finally, he's going to go ahead and summon cards. Thank you so much. Alright, now we can actually try to win the game. We're going to start off with the one, the only Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, getting us an actually good Kaiju. Then we're going to Desire, as we draw into a barrier statue, and I'm like, oh shit, we might actually win this. We can call our way back to a Jisakuru, which means we can do like half of his life. That's pretty good, and allows us to start adding cards to our hand. He is going to draw Mind Control, target this guy. Thankfully, I can negate that because it's single target. Thank you, Jisakuru, for being a good card. Then I'll Solemn this 1,000 Blades, and that's the end of this fucking video. And we back, and we back, and we back. This deck is awful. Enjoy the rest of Lazy Town.